and welcome to another episode of Gaming the System with me, Jem, and Alex and Matt. Today we are enjoying the sunshine that is from various windows, and we are going to be talking about gamer girl gamers, and which one are you? So yeah, we wanted to have a chat about the gamer girl and whether this is a empowering, positive development within the gaming world, or is it just misogyny by another name? And I currently undecided about this, so I'm hoping that tonight's discussion might help me work out how I feel about those particular topics. First of all, I wanted to ask you two, Alex and Matt, how do you feel about the name girl? Does it, when I said that this was the topic that we were going to bring to mind for you? Do you want to
I was quite excited about it as a topic, definitely. I think when you think about the term gamer girl or girl gamer, like it implies that the opposite should really be like a gamer boy or a boy gamer. But of course, everyone knows that's not the case. That's not a phrase that really exists. The other phrase is just gamer, which inherently implies that all gamers are just male anyway, which I think is a really interesting kind of way to kind of start looking at it and think, well, what does that tell us about the way that society views gaming, and just generally like how language can feed into that, and the language that we use and why the language we use matters. And also the word girl in itself we all know is to refer to a younger woman, someone who's not yet a woman perhaps, so it's infantilizing almost in a way as well. Just thinking about the phrase in language terms, that's at least how I started looking at it. I was like, right, there's this we need to think about, there's this we need to think about. But yeah, it's just really interesting to think about the phrase in and of itself and what that you can take from that, which I think feeds into probably a lot of what we're going to talk about today. I don't know how you felt, Matt.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's the same two words, but they're vastly different in terms of. I want to do an episode at some point purely on semantics and how the words that we hear over and over and over again really matter down to their individual syllables. When I think girl gamer, I don't know whether it's just because of the girl gamer Reddit, that I think girl gamer, I think a girl who plays games, and that's just a simple shorthand, and it's alliterative, and that's just an assignation that you can choose to identify with it. A woman who plays games is easy to identify and there isn't really any weight to that particular phrasing. But when you say girl gamer, I agree completely. The infantilization of women in all areas of society is a massive problem, because it's not just about treating women as if they are children. It is about sexualized images of children. That I have had a new theory, a new bit of philosophy recently about why there is so much demand for ambiguously aged female characters in things that spreads into porn as well, and that it's all part of the same thing of it all comes round to sex eventually, which brings me on to the gamer girl, which is the sort of I see as the stereotypical girl who's like
Yeah.
That wearing bunny ears and some kind of brightly coloured costume with coloured hair. And showing my ignorance, looking at that Girls Ask Guys page. It's fascinating. Really good, interesting place to look. A good social experiment to go and look through it. So there's like the girls who play games side feels like that's seen as the organic, the people who just play games going through their lives, whereas the Game of Girls, sort of this like a sexual object that they are purposefully calculating what they're doing and wearing and saying and playing in order to entice men into giving them money, which is a fascinating thing. You can learn more about men than you can about Game of Girls from this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a very interesting and diverse topic.
Yeah. So it's really interesting that you said that. I'll come back to that in a second. Yeah, Alex, I think you made some really good points, and I think the first thing that you said about the idea that the sort of default gamer is male, and that when we say gamer, we traditionally have meant male gamer, and Caroline Corriado Perez has written an excellent book called Invisible Women, where she looks at this idea of the sort of the default being male, and we've talked a lot about that, how that from there, because it's the default is male and white and cis and able-bodied. Basically, this idea of a standard human, when we know very well that just with the three of us here, there's no such thing as a standard human. There are many sort of different varieties, and I think it's interesting that this idea of like a girl gamer or a gamer girl has kind of come up out of this, as though there's a need to kind of distance ourselves, distance female gamers in some way, making them their own group. And it's really interesting what you were talking about there, Matt, because I came across an excellent quote today, some excellent research that I should probably just reading through some work, because they mentioned this quote. Just thought, oh my gosh, that's excellent. That's exactly what exactly relates to what we're talking about tonight. So it is a person called Pontoise, who was writing in 2019 in a book called Gaming Masculinity, Trolls, Fake Geeks, and the Gendered Battle for Online Power. And she talks about how this idea that girls who game are, as Matt just said, out to get something. So they are sort of the fake nerd girl, which she says sort of hooks into this idea of the castrating whore, which is a term that I've come across before, but I'd forgotten, and now I'm loving it. So she says it links to this concept of the castrating whore, which is the idea of a sort of villainous female character who's just gaming to try and acquire money or attention or time from these poor unsuspecting men. And I think what's really interesting, and again, that you touched on it straight away, is great, because I think that there's this idea that women game, but only as the sexy sidekick, as for the male gamers. So female gamers are allowed but only in they support the dominant male gaming sort of concept. And I think all of this feeds into this kind of sort of fantasy idea of how the world works, and how there's a sort of interplay between male and female, especially in areas that have been traditionally dominated by one gender or another. So I think we do see similar but with a different power balance going on with when men will come into sort of traditionally female areas, for example, the home and the family and all of that. So I think it's really interesting, and I think they're really emotive terms. But just for just everyone, I was just wondering if, Alex, you could basically describe what you would say, and for the sake of today's discussion, what we mean when we're using the phrase gamer girl.
So in my head, what came up when I think about that phrase is a very particular type of gamer. So it's someone who's got the full kind of all decked out. You've got the gaming chair, the headphones with the cat ears, bunny ears, or whatever else. Usually coloured hair of some kind, probably quite bright colours. Perhaps some piercings, probably quite a lot of makeup and lots of eyeliner and eyeshadow and stuff. Possibly lots of piercings as well, maybe. Don't know. Might be going a little too far into stereotypical land here. But there's also probably some quite provocative outfits maybe being worn, or just, bright colours, or, form-fitting outfits. You've got the pink chairs, lots of pink everywhere as well, and just a general sort of I don't know if provocative is the right word, but they have a charm to them that appeals to, let's say, men who would normally watch gaming streams, and they would usually stream whatever's popular right now, just to kind of ride the wave on Twitch, as it were. Yeah, that's the kinds of things that came into my head, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it's hypersexual, very highly gendered, isn't it? But very pink. I mean, I don't actually have anything against bunny ears.
No.
I think I think it's really interesting that there's this thing. I saw a thread on actually on Reddit where they were asking about this, and they were sort of saying, like, why is everything pink? Why can't we have other colours?
Yeah.
And and it was really interesting actually, because what they said was, well, maybe it's going to start out like this with all this pink. Slowly we'll get more coming in. And that those posts were from 2019. So I don't know if we've got much more colours now. I mean, certainly my gaming setup
just maybe different shades of pink.
No, yeah, just more colours, isn't it? More LED. So Matt, what do you think?
I've gone through quite a gamer girls aren't so from the cis straight-ish male perspective. There's women are sexualized so much, and it's because there's something inside men that we are taught that have this absolutely unfathomable just need for sexualization, for things to be sexualized. That's why the porn industry is the biggest and most diverse it's ever been, because it's supply and demand. If there wasn't a demand for it, then it would stop. And with these gamer girls who they get the flack. So what we've been saying and what you see, there is a certain type of gamer girl out there, and they can make good money by someone on this girls ask guys thing. What did they say? I think it was exploiting simps, which is true. They're just thirst traps, gigantic ads for brands and OnlyFans. It's also true. They can use it to advertise their OnlyFans. E-thoughts, which I thought was pretty funny. So then so those are objective true things. There are women who have an OnlyFans or who make money from streaming, and they know that if they dress and behave a certain way, there will be more men who will come and subscribe to their stuff. But if you take a step back or a roll back, who cares? Who cares? We live under capitalism and patriarchy. If you can find a way to exploit the system and use it to get out of a 9-to-5 job, who cares? And for anyone who wants to try and judge them, if they were doing it thinking, oh, it's just their character, they're just bad people, they're just immoral and whorish and just wanting to entice men, then men who get angry with them would go, well, you just ignore them then. It's none of your business. And that's where like the misogyny comes in of going, for women, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If they were completely like unstereotypical and just lots of other different things playing, you'd go, oh, she's not attractive enough. She doesn't care about this. She doesn't care about that. If she does this, oh, she's just a whore trying to make money. And if you can't win in either way, you may as well exploit the system that there is. And there is no more exploitable resource than the horniness of men. I think that is probably
that's a quote.
That is a quote for the ages. Because honestly, yeah.
So that's gamer girls. So Matt, can you explain for the show what we mean by girl gamers?
It's a lot simpler, I think. Just girls who play games, women who play games, and I completely. I don't think there's any big problem with it, because from the girl game Reddit, 200,000 people saying, yeah, I'm a girl gamer, and there doesn't feel like any particular weight to that. There is the implication of childishness, but I think that girl has been largely claimed, and that women have authority over it, like girl power and just I feel like adult women calling each other girls is more empowering than talking down to, and men who call adult women girls, there's something not quite as savory about that. But I think largely girl gamer is a positive term.
Alex, do you have anything to add about the girl gamers?
Yeah, no, I think if I had to say, I'd say pretty much the same thing, really. If it's a woman who happens to play games or a gamer who happens to be a woman, really. But yeah, I think, like you say, it's probably an alliteration thing. Just the double G makes it easier to say it, like in an online space, especially. You're always looking for like those kinds of things. But yeah, I think it's just interesting to consider from a linguistic point of view, the implications that might have. But yeah, no, nothing more to add on that point. But yeah.
Can I ask one thing, Jem? You said,
sorry, yeah.
It's just a quick thing. Did you say, you said something whore earlier? What was the word you said before it?
It's the castrating whore.
Castrating whore. Okay, I thought you said frustrating whore.
Frustrating. Oh, I think that could also.
Well, yeah.
It's exactly what it is, because they're going, oh, look at this slutty woman with a cleavage cosplay outfit and her bunny ears and a pink room, and I just want to have sex with it all, and I can't. I'll pay for it. And that's exactly what these angry men are doing.
Frustrating whore. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's really interesting what you said, Alex, about the linguistics of it, because I think that that's quite a lot there. And I think, Matt, you kind of touched on that as well with about, like, where's the power lower with the use of the word girl. And I think you're right. I think many women have kind of like claimed it as a sort of as a positive term. However, in the group of women that I associate with, we work quite hard not to use the word girl because it's tantalizing, and because I would say, I'm a gamer, I would have passed, and I'm very, very happy to be part of it. But I think there is this of othering, because of, as we were talking about, the idea of like that the default gamer is male, and so by calling women girl gamers, then they are being othered, and that might be an intentional self-othering. I'm not with them. I'm in my own group. I have own experiences, so I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, but it is an othering, and then I think it is an infantilizing because it's girl and not woman. But I absolutely take the point you made, Alex, about it being, about the alliteration of the GG letters, and I think the language is like that. It can evolve for one reason and then becomes something different. To say that, from personally, that both terms are problematic, that they're negative. I associate them negatively, but they're problematic to me, but that's possibly because I'm an older, and so girl, it is a very kind of distant thing for me these days. I think it is really interesting, and how, as you start, Matt, it's the same words, just in completely different order, and yet we all have like quite an emotive response to the two titles. So what do you think? I mean, I'm thinking, start with you, Alex. Do you think that this is that it's a positive thing, or I mean, do you feel like it's a positive thing or a negative thing that we have these? I don't know what to call them. Titles. This is what they actually are, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, from a personal point of view, if I had to identify myself I just usually tend to call myself a gamer without the girl beforehand. And I don't know what that says about how I feel about the title, as it were. I guess I definitely wouldn't. It doesn't really sit right for me to say, "Oh, I'm a girl gamer." That just feels a bit weird. So yeah, I think probably if I had to pick, I'd say they're probably both more on the negative side than positive side, because of everything we've just talked about. Really, it's not to say that everyone in each of those two categories is inherently bad, because I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that sometimes if you think about it on a surface level, like the assumptions and the the stereotypical things that we take away that we've talked about, if you just take those are going to give you a preconception about women who game, and that might not necessarily be a good thing to take away just on a sort of surface level, which I think a lot of people who are kind of outside of gaming might do, and what kind of impression that gives them of women within these spaces generally as well. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but it's just about stereotypes and kind of your knee-jerk reactions and your sort of surface judgments of women in these spaces, and having those sort of titles to each sort of side, I think just has more of a negative connotation. Yeah.
I think it's interesting what you said about the fact that you wouldn't yourself as a girl gamer, and I was just thinking about, well, why did I? I mean, I wouldn't today, but I have done in the past, and I think it's because for me, when I started gaming, there weren't very many females.
Maybe
kind of
did it give you more of a sense of a community? There is that side to it that's positive, I think. Yeah.
And and I think also there's a sort of safety in numbers, isn't there? There's sort of like a defining, this is me, and so that other people can, identify with you, so that you can find it. Although in the early years of gaming, not a lot of camaraderie between the female players, so there wasn't a lot of thought between us. Interestingly, now I'm in touch with many of those women who I gamed with when I was younger. I'm really quite solid friends, but yeah, it's a interesting way of sort of like looking at that, and how does it I think it's I'd be interested to see how many of sort of younger generations would identify themselves as gamers.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Gaming the System. If you want to support us, you can donate to us through our PayPal by sending it to wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com if you want to send us a one-off donation. If you want to donate to us monthly, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem. Until next time, bye-bye.